Sometimes I catch myself wondering if there is a substitute for experience. Over the years, I've come to realize that it's the journey that's important and not the destination. The journey and not the destination. What's up, YouTube? Since this is my first video for this year, Happy New Year, and I wish you all the very best, a happy and prosperous and healthy 2021. And since this is the first video of this year, also what I thought is I would like to do a sort of a retrospective, not so much, well, you'll see. So I want to address a few things. Those who are learning and those who are mentoring / teaching. I want to sort of address both these halves since one, I do that sort of thing myself. And I just thought from some of the questions I get, not just on my YouTube channel, but even at work and other places, there is a theme to two aspects. Those who are learning and those who are mentoring both have certain things like guidances, or I guess I want to provide the lessons learned from this perspective. So, but before we begin, I'd like to say thank you all for being my subscribers and watching my videos regularly and participating in comments and the likes. Please keep the likes coming and the comments, because that, I think, is what YouTube is using for their algorithms to make these videos more popular. If you have the opportunity to share these videos with your friends, colleagues, whoever, on your social media, please do that. I need that help. And I am ever grateful and humbled and honored to have this channel. Every video I make, there's always somebody giving me that sort of a positive reinforcement, if you will, or feedback to let me know that these are the kinds of things that you want to watch. And of course, there are people who have great questions, which means you're understanding what I'm saying. And that gives me endless pleasure to know that people actually understand what I'm saying, because if you have a question, then that's implying that you have understood something and I'm sort of rubbing you the wrong way, which is the intent for the most part. By that, I just mean that makes you think. Right? That's the point, is I want you to question things. Don't just follow along. So with that said, and that's no small feat, I think we are at 6,000, about 6,800, which is not bad. But I'm hoping to make it like 10 or 15,000 in this year, so I will need your help. So please promote this channel amongst your friends and colleagues. And also, starting with that aspect, I know there are a lot of people who, and I find this out sort of indirectly, and I think I can understand or appreciate why this happens. It's like my channel is kept as the best secret that nobody wants to share, apparently. There's people from the same team in the same organization that are each watching the videos, but not sharing that internally as in within their team. And so I get asked questions from two different perspectives. And I realize it's just the same question from two different perspectives, two different points of view by two different people. And they're each trying to sort of fight their case, and they're very conveniently leaving out certain details that will, unfortunately, I'm sending them the wrong way, in the sense that because you don't give me the full picture, I feel like, okay, given what you told me, I can guide you this way. But given what this other person has told me, I guide them that way. And then, so anyway, so I guess what I'm saying is that, if you feel that you want to keep my channel as a secret, please don't. I think the way you want to learn is to have people in your organization, on your teams, or your friends share and work together and learn and understand what I'm trying my best to impart, the experiences that I had over the years. Talking about experience, of course, it's very important to have good quality experience and, of course, good number in terms of tenure of experience. It's not just, if you've got 8 years of experience or 10 years of experience that matters. What have you been doing in that 8 years or 10 years? So if your job is not giving you that opportunity to get quality experience, move. I know, it's always, it feels frightening to move, especially maybe in this time where jobs are not quite secure for a lot of us. But generally speaking, if the job is not challenging, if you are the lead, on a team and you got 8 or 9 years of experience, I would say you need to move to find someone, some other company where you find people who have much more experience than you have, so you can continue to learn with them from them, rather than be in a comfortable place where you're the lead, the mentor, the architect, whatever, and you have so much to learn on your own, right? So there's a fine balance there, but I suggest and opening yourself up. So if you're in that place where you're a mentor and you yourself are in a place where you don't have a whole lot of experience, or maybe in your mind you think you have a whole lot of experience, but I can tell you, I feel most days that I feel there's so much more to learn. There's so much more I could have learned in the years that I've spent. And I think that's a good place to be, because that sort of keeps the fire under your butt, so to speak. And I've always done that through my life. I'm sort of imagining the fire under my butt. So no matter what it is, the moment I feel comfortable with something, I got to move forward. So it's sort of giving me the energy and the reasoning for moving forward. So I think you guys should do the same if you're in that place. If you're what I call a big fish in a small pond, you need to find a big pond. So you're a small fish in a big pond, right? These are hard choices. I understand. I've done that myself, and I know that that's what makes me who I am. That's what has given me the experience, the quality of experience, and the depth and breadth of experience that I value a lot. But at the same time, what I'm trying to do here on this channel, of course, is to try and impart my experience, but not only my experiences, but the sort of the culmination, if you will. If I've been doing something for 5 years, 8 years, and today I'm at a point where I figured out, okay, this is how I'm going to do it from this point forward, right? And I want to share that with you. Sometimes I feel it's like I'm selling you snake oil, because I'm giving you a solution. You never had the benefit, the opportunity to have the experience like I did. So certainly I can try and give you the picture of the problem, set up the sort of the problem, the scenario, and say, given blah, 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 here's the solution. This is what you should be doing. But you don't quite understand the problem. You don't quite understand the other options, the options that I've gone through, and I've come here and said, this is what I do now, given everything that I've tried in the past. I'm not sure if that's the best way to teach us. The only thing I know now with people I work with, it's slightly different. If you're working on a certain task, I'm just going to let you start yourself. And then during the code review, it's going to be like a design review / code review. So I'll get you to fix that. I'll tell you to use this pattern or whatever the case may be. And I'm going to explain all the reasoning for why what I'm asking you to fix needs to be fixed in the way I'm asking you to fix. The flip side is, if you're a mentor and in that position, where you're a lead or a mentor, two things. I learned this one lesson, which was a terrible, terrible awakening. I sometimes even get into tears just thinking about that whole experience. I won't dwell too deep into it, because that might make me a bit emotional. But the short of it is, I spent many years what I thought was helping my teams, which is I would do all the hard stuff. We had a deliverable to make. And if anyone says, I don't know how to do that, Shiva, I would say, don't worry about it. You move on to do something else. I'll take care of this. Right? My job was my aim was to deliver on time. And it turned out many years later, working with the same team, one day we were kind of celebrating our success of having delivered this really huge feature set. Client was really happy. Bosses were happy. We were celebrating, by ourselves. And I just made a mention of something like, man, this project taught us so many things, didn't it? And one of the guys says, but Shiv, you're the one that did all the learning. And that was very shocking, because I was the one that was doing the learning. They were doing what they knew so that we could move forward. And I was having to learn the new stuff and provide them with the implemented the classes and things, so that I didn't have to get deep into the technologies or whatever the case may be, and just use it from a class level. The short of it is, from that point forward, I have changed the way I teach. Rather than give you a design up front, of course, I convey the basic ideas about the design, but then you're doing everything from scratch. And then we'll do a code/design review, and where I'll start to clean things up and give you my reasoning for why things are the way they are. So that brings me to the two-sided equation again, which is the mentee and the mentor, right? The mentor, if you're a mentor, what I highly, highly recommend is don't provide people with frameworks. There's no need for it. Let them figure it out. You need to look at what they have, and then based on what they give you, you need to improve that. Okay, so don't have some preconceived notion in your head, because you will learn that way too. Sometimes there are people, at least I've had this experience, there are mentees, people who are learning, they come with a different perspective, and that perspective might be valuable. So you don't want to go into this design review, code review process with a sort of preconceived notion of how things are supposed to be. Let them give you the initial cut. You can help them with the design review, code review, and take it from there. For the person learning, the mentee, you need to know what you know and not know, and know what you don't know, I guess. And based on that, have these conversations with the mentor. Okay, I don't understand this part, or I'm going to do it like this. But then when the mentor tells you to do something differently, you need to make sure you ask the questions. It is the mentor's responsibility to explain him or herself. Don't be that mentor, so just do as I say. To me, that indicates you don't know enough. You can't explain it. You can't explain the pros and the cons. And this brings me to another part of this talk, which is, again, to do with my experiences that I'm trying to impart. If I talk about dependency injection, I'll give you all the reasoning for why I don't like dependency injection. And I have had experience with dependency injection, so I'm in a good place to tell you what I don't like about it. It's not theoretical, right? It's not like I'm reading about what dependency injection is, and based on that, I'm going to tell you why I don't like this part, which a lot of people do, by the way, which is totally wrong. But if you like what you hear, I guess, if you like what you hear, then sure, I'm happy that you would understand what I'm saying and would not use dependency injection and mocking and all this sort of stuff. That is stuff that tell you to do or not to do. That's fantastic. But you need to understand clearly what it is that I'm telling you and why something is not good. Good or bad, whatever it is. If you're doing something, there are two things you need to understand about what you're doing. One is, what are the alternatives? If I say dependency injection is not good, you should do this. Okay, what's wrong with dependency injection? You need to truly understand the benefits, the pros and the cons of dependency injection for yourself. You need to know the cons primarily of both sides. The way you decide or make decisions is based on the cons, not the pros. The pros are self-evident, right? You like this, you like it, great. No, there's no argument to be made there. The question is, do you understand the cons? If I like this technique or this methodology over this one, do I understand the pros and cons of this? Do I understand the pros and cons of that? And then if I make a decision, I should be making the decision based on the cons, not the pros. Because the cons you can't get rid of. There's no way you can say, I just like all this stuff, but I didn't know I was getting all this other stuff, right? So you have to base your decisions on the cons, as in the trade-offs. Are you willing to make these sets of trade-offs versus those? There's no perfect design. If you ever think to yourself, this is perfectly designed, there's no such thing. There are just trade-offs. The question is, which trade-off are you willing to make, or trade-offs are you willing to make, and which ones are you not? That is the question. Conversely, if you're a mentor, explain that to your team. You need to move them through the motions of your thought process. Not only does that make you a better mentor, that makes things better or clearer in your head. You're teaching them. Just like I'm trying to do with you, I'm trying to explain to you why I prefer one thing over another thing. I don't just say, do it like this, right? Throw away dependency injection and mocking, just do this. Don't worry about the problems, right? I'm just saying, do this, just do it. So it is incumbent upon the mentee to ask the questions, and on the mentor to provide the problem statement, the problem, and clearly explain the problems, and then provide the solution. And the same goes with design patterns and what have you. I find every time I make a video on design patterns, if I'm explaining a design pattern to somebody at work, like, okay, I'm giving you a solution to a problem you never encountered. How can you learn the solution? How could you understand when to use that solution when you never encountered the problem? So a lot of this retrospective that I have here, and I'm sort of thinking back on my own life, if you will, the history, especially last year with all these videos I've been making. What's the benefit? Can you truly understand the solutions when you never really encountered the problems? And that basically, this is my, it's not, of course, recent. This is something I've known for many years. But there is no substitute for experience. And what do I mean by that? It's the journey that matters, not the destination.
The journey and not the destination.
A lot of people, a lot of questions I get from people either by email, on the YouTube channel, at work, other places, other social media, is that how do I get there? What's the shortest route to my destination? What destination should I pick? And then how do I get there? Like, I want to be there. Like, it's almost like, you're in school and they say there's an exam and this is the curriculum of the exam and that's all that's ever going to come in the exam. Well, life is not like that. There's no curriculum you can have to achieve life, right? There's no one exam that says this is all that's going to be there in life. So all you need to learn is these things. But I think people miss the point. I understand, there's this urgency. One is the schooling, I guess our schooling style or methodology is at fault because we give people the sense that that's all you need to know, that's all you need to know, that's all you need to know. And in fact, you got a degree or a master's degree or a PhD, that's all you need to know kind of thing. Well, that's not how life works. Life is very different. Life throws you curveballs every single day, every moment. There is nothing that's on the curriculum. Right? Besides which, technology changes. Every day there's a new technology, there's a new technique. You throw away what you've been doing for the last 10 years and you take on something new. So you got to be prepared. This is the field you're in. I'm thankful to be in this field. I'm thankful that I'm in a field that I have to learn every day something new. I'm never bored. Right? I mean, you can imagine being I don't know, take honestly some names of certain careers, but I'm sure you have an idea of certain careers you wouldn't want to be in, So I'm grateful that we are in this field where there's a constant change and a constant learning. It keeps me in that place where I feel like I'm just always a student. Like I'm never ever going to get to that end goal. And that's what I'm getting at. The journey is important. Don't rush to get to the destination. First of all, there isn't a destination. And second of all, if you don't look out the window and enjoy the scenery and watch the birds and the trees and the sky and the mountains and the rivers, you're missing the point. The point is not the destination. The point is the journey. Savor and enjoy and understand your day-to-day experiences and extract from that every bit that you can extract. All the information about the skies and the clouds and the birds and the trees and the rivers and the grass, all of that. Don't focus on the destination. You're missing the rest of it. So given that I value experience, at that level, at this holistic level, where the journey is more important, then how do you gain the same experiences that I've gained, even though your work may not give you that opportunity? So I didn't learn everything at work. I learned by putting myself through the process. And the process is fairly simple. And there's a simple, it may be a lot of work, but it's simple, which is I build a bunch of projects that use various different technologies. And if I'm looking at, say, dependency injection, then I'll have two projects that are built the same way. One is the same set of classes. One is where the dependencies are injected. The other one where they're not injected. And that's just two different versions of that project. And I'll experience it. I'll say, okay, well, what do I like about this thing with dependency injection versus that thing without dependency injection? And the pros and the cons and the maintainability and the clutter or the readability, all of those things. I'll even present that to a bunch of people that I sort of trust. And, we've been doing this for a few years together. So I said, what do you think? And they'll be doing the same thing. What I'm getting at is you need to actually write the code. It's not enough to learn from listening to me, which is certainly a first step, but you might have to listen to me 10 times over 10 years to truly get what I'm saying. So the way to speed that up is to actually write the code yourselves, experience it, then you can come back to me with some questions, then experience it again and so on. actual coding and putting it into larger, fairly large systems, the code into practice or the techniques or technologies into practice yourselves is a tremendous benefit. Of course, now the way you implement things may not be the same as the way I do it, but nonetheless, you have to go through that experience and learn for yourselves the pros and the cons and how to decipher or how to deduce the pros and the cons. They're both working. Why is one better than the other? You have to think about that. Why do I not like this? What is it about this code that I don't like? How do I explain that to someone? That's important, right? So I'm hoping these lessons, since I'm trying to hit both sides, the mentor and the mentee, people are finding this important. But the short of it is it's based on experience. And if you don't have the opportunity to experience something at work, you need to give yourself that opportunity to do it on your own, by yourselves, and on your free time. So there's no end to that. The other thing is people say, but what book can I read to learn this stuff? Now, there may be books. I'm not aware of the books. I haven't read books in this field for many, many years. I read, of course, lots of documentation on the actual product or the technology or what have you, but I don't read books that are on that topic. And I don't think these books have that. So if you think that everything I'm talking about on my channel is regurgitation of what you might find in a book, then you're probably in the wrong place to start with. They may be there. I don't know. Since I've not read books, I can't necessarily tell you. I just know I'm talking from my experiences. So how would I find them in a book unless that person has had the same experiences, right? So, and I think the driver for that question is the same thing. How do I get quickly to the destination? Like, what have you read? How do you get to where you're at? So I can get there as fast as possible, right? I want to skip through the journey and get to the destination. I'm saying don't rush the journey. That is the key. And you have to have the journey. The destination is not relevant. The destination can keep changing, positions. You probably don't know what the destination needs to be. So focus on the journey. So as much as I'm giving you advice on do it like this instead of doing it like that, you might have your own difficulties, if you will. A lot of people say, but in my team, this is the problem. And that's what the people say. You need to learn to explain yourself. Okay, I think one of the biggest problems we have in this industry, and I can only speak to this industry, that's where I spend my time, my day in and day out on. So maybe it's generally a problem across, just generally, within these newer generations. Communication. I don't think people know how to communicate. It's almost like everyone wants to Twitter everyone else, right? When I get some weird comments on my channel, and like, you should have done that. Look, I made that video like a year ago. I couldn't possibly remember every video's every context. So if you want to make a statement, can you give me a context, please? Tell me what it is you're talking about. Give me a timeline so I can bring myself back into that context so that I can understand your question or statement. But that applies to when you are working, with people on your team. You need to learn the art of communication. Without communication, you are no one. Nobody wants to listen to you. If you know how to communicate, people want to listen. So if you want to be heard, then learn to talk. I don't mean talk in that sense, but express yourself, explain problems, explain solutions in a way that people understand. That is going to make you progress in your career. Not getting frustrated, not speaking in Twitterish. Maybe you should have a name called in Twitters or in tweets. Like, I get this all the time. I mean, there's one guy who says something like, oh, this is fantastic for, small to mid-sized systems, but not for our system. But what? Why? And I asked, give me all these reasonings for why I'm curious. If you want to make a statement, you expect people to just jump at what you say or believe what you say, you're wrong. People need to be explained, and because for their own benefit. I mean, maybe there's lots of people who might just listen to what you're saying as a mentor, right? But don't take advantage of that. It is incumbent upon you to explain yourself. If you are a person in a team that is, let's say, junior level, not the lead, and you're trying to get your lead to see a certain technique that I talk about, send them to the video. Why hesitate to send them to my video? Start a dialogue with me and we can all chat and I can try and explain things, or learn to fight your battles by understanding or learning how to explain, how to communicate, so that you're not getting frustrated about, but they won't listen. But they're not listening because you're not explaining. Did you ever think about that? Communication, we're terrible at it. Seriously, I think just people in this industry, we suck at it. And maybe we just like to, communicate in code. And we suck at that too, which is what programming with intent is all about. Okay, so that brings me to the last part of this video, and then hopefully, I'm done rambling on. On my channel, you're learning programming with intent, PWI for short. Everything I teach you here is coming under this large umbrella called programming with intent. But there's a pattern, but there's like the let's talks, like this and the boss and the previous, the code reviews, whatever it is, they all come under that heading. But primarily, if you want to learn what PWI is, and I can tell you might have to watch this video like 30, 40 times. There's one video that you just have to watch, but you have to watch it many, many, many times to understand. Is the first video. I'll try and put a link to it over here. It's called Method Design. So you watch that video and the API design videos, part 1 and part 2. That is the kind of the crux of it. And of course, then the programming to exceptions. But everything I'm trying to talk about here is to do with programming with intent. So if you want to use these techniques at your workplace, I'll be happy to, coach you guys or talk to you guys or make more videos. I don't mean like a one-on-one coaching, but what I'm saying is you need to work on it as a team on your end. So gather people in your companies and work together, and you can come back to me with questions and I can give you guys a solution. Rather than trying to do this single-handedly, you want to do it as a team on that side. Right? Don't keep me as a secret. Share me with your colleagues and then work as a team. You'll have more support. So if you're lacking communication, at least you have the strength in numbers, right? Whatever. Anyway. All right. I've gone on for long enough. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.